So this time around, the Trump administration's Immigration Custom Enforcement will not be able to deport and remove Kilmar Abrego to where they say they're going to send him to Uganda as fast as they think, as fast as they've been able to do in the previous. Why? Because the United States Supreme Court, all 9 justices, said that anyone who they intend to remove is entitled to habeas corpus proceedings. Now, what does that requires? What does that entitle? So they're trying to do a removal. The expedited removals that they did when they took a bunch of folks and sent them off to CCOT torture prison in El Salvador, and they've been quickly removing people without process. A lot of those cases have been coming back. I'm watching the dockets. This is JJ Legal. If you're new here, that's what I do. And in the dockets, when they do that, anyone who has an attorney who files and is able to get in front of a judge, the judge says, you have to give people the opportunity to be heard, the opportunity to have a lawyer, the opportunity to present evidence against your allegations. So in Kilmar Abrego Garcia's case, Judge Paula Zenas in the district court that's in Maryland told the Trump administration if they plan removal proceedings, put a pin in that, they need to give the attorneys 72 hours notice of removal proceedings. The proceedings are as follows when you try to remove someone. There's no expedited removals. They have to present evidence as to why they think this person needs to be removed. Now, if you have a basis to deny it and you have an attorney, you can present evidence, a posit, in front of an immigration judge. What evidence will the Trump administration be able to present the reason why Kilmar Abrego will be subject to removal? They're going to have the thing they used, or that they said they used to send him off to CCOT, was someone who said that they heard someone say he had it. It was hearsay from someone who works in the police in Maryland or DC that's been kicked out of the force already for other scandals. So not a credible witness. Since then, since 2017, it's been 8 years, the Trump administration have been able to produce 0 evidence from any person to say that he is a member of a gang. No ex-gang members, no surveillance, no data, no facts, no stats, no records, 0. So when they say we have to remove him because he's a dangerous person, and they have provided no evidence, and it's going to go against a 2017 immigration judge that looked at the case, looked at evidence, and said this person is not a threat. That's why the person said he shouldn't be sent to El Salvador because he claims threat there. But also they gave him a work permit and say you can stay here, so long as you check in because you're not a threat. So in 2017 there was no evidence of a threat. There's still no evidence of a threat. Now I'll give you the fact that there was 2 domestic incidences when he was violent with his wife, which is bad. However, that's not a basis for you to remove someone from the country. It needs to be something like a felon, and he still doesn't have a criminal record. So for them to say that we have to remove this person and deport them, he has to have a basis for saying a just status to say he's not going to be removed. His wife is a U.S. citizen. So if he could present the fact that his wife is a U.S. citizen and they're going to get married, he's going to adjust status. You now then can say, I'm adjusting status, so I want a stay of removal. Now, if they try to say you're not entitled to stay of removal, what would be their basis? It's vindictive prosecution. Kilmar Abrego Garcia has already filed a claim. Some people say he should file a lawsuit. He already filed a lawsuit. The minute they sent him off to El Salvador, his lawyers filed a lawsuit. So he has an ongoing lawsuit. One of the things his lawyers have asked in an ongoing lawsuit is for the Trump administration to actually have sanctions for they've obfuscated, they've hemmed and hawed, they've lied on the docket. They said that the reason why they couldn't bring him back was based on some sort of all sorts of lies and bullshit. So the Judge Paula Zenas was on her way to do civil contempt of them for lying. So that is the judge that is still handling Kilmar Abrego's case against the Trump administration. She's in parallel with the Tennessee court. Now, why all of that is relevant is because that's part of the process. So when they produce no evidence, what rogue immigration judge would the Trump administration producing no evidence is going to say, yeah, this guy should not be adjusted status, not allow his status to be adjusted? There is none. Now, let's say someone, feels like they're going to be fired by the Trump administration, so they say, okay, yeah, he did it. What's the next step? Then he has 30 days to appeal to the next level, and then he can actually go before a district court judge, and it could possibly go up to the Supreme Court. All of that is processed. In the meantime, there would be a stay. His lawyers most likely request a stay to say that they can't do anything through the process. The United States Supreme Court says that anyone who they plan to remove is entitled to process. The process is a long process. The expedited basis of which they've been taking people and canceling out whatever basis for which they were able to stay in the United States, some sort of maybe this is a process called like advanced parole. Like if you are subject to leave, advanced parole is where they say, well, you're not a harm to anyone, and the process is long to get your asylum or whatever that you're seeking. So we're going to give you a work permit and let you check in. That's how it is now. So they've been telling people, dismissing their cases based on that, so they can now put them in expedited removal. There's been several judges, including Judge Gia Cobb, District Court of D.C., who's already said that the Trump administration's practice of taking people from immigration courts, canceling that and removing them is bad. She tossed out their case. She said that you cannot do this. That essentially you're telling people to go the proper process and follow the proper process, and when they do it, you're pulling the rug out from underneath them. She said that's ridiculous. So stop. So she essentially said that these courthouse like wrangling on people and kicking them out it's against the law. It denies them due process. It's against process. It's against policy. It's against long-standing proceedings. So with Donald Trump's mass deportation agenda, when he said mass deportation now, that is all he has, because his tariffs is kind of causing the food price to go up. The consumer confidence is low. Inflation is going up. We just saw the energy prices going up, gas prices going up, child care remains a problem, home cares. He cannot govern. He doesn't have any capability to do anything to better your lives. The only thing he is able to do is steal money that Congress already allocated to other folks, fire federal workers, and he's doing it on an illegal, unlawful basis. That's in courts now. And then just try to round up people. And he said it was criminals, and we've already seen it's not criminals. He has been getting babies. The man has already deported about 4 or 5 U.S. citizen children. He's deporting babies. He's deporting people who are like students, our neighbors, and folks in communities around the country. Like, no, a lot of MAGA said, no, I did not sign up for this. You said you're going to give us criminals. He's a liar. I've already done a video recently. I'm going to put it here where I showed that month over month from January 2023 to the end of Joe Biden's term, border crossings were going down. Immigration is not necessarily is a problem. It's always a problem. But in terms of him saying there's millions and millions of people that empty him out there and say themselves criminal, it was a freaking lie. So because he has a lie, the way he has to fulfill his promise is just by deporting babies, because he has nothing else. So MAGA adjacent are like, oh shit. To the cruel people who have nothing else going in their lives, they're miserable, they're sad because their life didn't turn out their way. They thought because of their race, their gender, that they would be a long further in life, and they're frustrated when they see people of color, people they feel like they're superior than, actually having a good life, and Donald Trump is deciding them, I'm going to actually suppress those people's history and deny any little bit of crumbs or programs that's helping them, even it's like helping them with their sickle cell research that helps them stay alive. If it's a Job Corps program that helps them kids get jobs, we're counseling that. You're canceling that. We're going to inflict punishment on the people that our culture, we decided, is not white, cisgender, and traditional Christian, and we're going to punish them and do everything we can to just harm them. And that's what he's doing. That's all he has, is just cruelty. All he can do is deliver cruelty to his MAGA base, because he can't give them better food prices. He can't help them whatsoever. So anyway, long story short, I digress. Now, coming back to this. So the whole process that the United States Supreme Court says they have to undergo is a long and lengthy process. And the expedited removals that they've been doing, they've been stopped. And people will say, well, they don't pay attention to courts, they just do it. However, they've been stopped. When they try to take some criminals to South Sudan, a judge stopped them and said, you have to get procedures. The United States Supreme Court, unfortunately, went in and paused it. So shame on them. I was giving them the benefit of the doubt, but I'm done. I think the Supreme Court is like no longer a credible institution, and I eat crow on that one. But the fact of the matter is that the judgment, when they have judgment and judges say pull them back, they've pulled them back. So they do listen to courts. So if a court issues a stay and say you cannot remove this guy and deport him to Uganda, all of that, the reason why they said that is because they needed to have a media report to immediately push back against all this news that Kilmar's gotten out after Pam Bondi was like, he's never coming back, and Kristi Noem called him a monster. Every single person that's called him a gang member, once he proves he's not a gang member, he can legally get a defamation claim. So all you podcasters who said he is an MS-13 gang member without proof and said that is, you're on the hook for potential defamation. If I was him, I would sue all y'all, especially if I have proof on the record that I'm not, and y'all can't prove that I am, and y'all been calling me that and damaging my reputation. I'm suing all you motherfuckers. So anyway, so Donald Trump, y'all just gonna lead yourself down and look at Rudy Giuliani. All right, case closed. So yeah, they can't, they'll try. but we are watching them, and it's not going to be as easy. It's just something to appease the MAGA. They know most of y'all are not going to pay attention to this. When it leaves a news cycle and they lose, you're not going to know that they lost. But you follow me, JJ Lee, Each One Teach One. Share this video.